Hey guys, my name's Henry Lim. I'm an immigration attorney with Lim Law, and we're going to start doing something a little bit different that we don't usually do. With us today, we have three law students who are either in law school or studying for the bar. These are who we call our next legends. So I want to go around the room and have you guys introduce yourselves and where you are in your legal studies right now. Starting with you.
Okay, my name is Vanessa Vargas. I am a rising 2L. I go to Berry Law School.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Juicy. I'm a rising 2L as well, and I go to Family Law School.
Hi everyone, my name is Madeline Barrera. I graduated from Baylor University School of Law and I'm studying for the bar.
Yeah, where are you guys from? Where are you guys from originally?
Was born in Lima, Peru.
I was born in Havana, Cuba, and I came to the US like around 9 years ago.
Born and raised in Queens, New York. My family's from Colombia and I relocated to Florida 7 years ago.
Okay, great. And I'm from Nicaragua. I've been practicing now 26 years. Been last time I was in law school was roughly around 30 years ago, so it's been a while, and there's been a lot of changes. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about a few of the experiences that you guys have, so that if you're in law school or you're thinking about law school, or you even be thinking about immigration, because we're going to talk a little bit about all of these topics as we progress over the next couple of weeks as far as topics that we're going to start talking about. And I'm going to be testing these future legends a little bit about what level of knowledge they've acquired here in lim law and how they would handle things. Because one of the things they don't necessarily teach us in law school is the client interactions, how to deal with difficult clients or difficult situations to explain to clients. We learn theory, we learn application, and we're expected to go out in the world and be these legal experts from day one. But we are advisors, and we're here to advise. We're here to advocate, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So now that we have a little bit of introduction as far as where you guys are in your legal careers, I want to start first about what is the most unexpected challenge that you've seen in law school. We'll start with you, Vanessa.
Just in general,
Yeah,
like law school in
yeah,
general.
yeah. Because you just finished your first year, which is regarded as the toughest year.
The hardest year of my life.
Right.
Like that would be the title of that chapter. The hardest year of my life. I think the most unexpected change was from undergrad to law school. They always say, oh, it's not the same, you have to be prepared and this, but you can't really prepare. There's no way to prepare. Like you don't know what's coming, and you think you know, and you're like, okay, no, I got this. Like I was a 4.0 student in undergrad. I did amazing, all straight A's. I got to law school and it was like, here, 50 pages of reading for one class, 50 pages of reading for another. And during undergrad it was more, yeah, I could read there, maybe I could skip a little bit, but there's no skipping. There's no skipping. You can't even skip a page. So I think the most unexpected change was just starting law school in general. Like I wish that I could put into words like what I feel. I know that you two understand and you too. But it's just like nothing you've ever experienced. Like if you don't go to law school, you not that
It's
you
hard to describe.
that's what I'm saying. I can't really like put it into words. And you didn't let us practice for this. So.
None of this is rehearsed.
None of this is rehearsed. Um, it's just a life change. If you decide to go to law school, your life is gonna change like not even 180. It's like 360. Like you have to think a new way. You have to act a new way with your friends in law school, law students, attorneys. It's just it's a new you. That's how I'm gonna put it. It's a new you.
You see, you've recently also completed your first year. Let me ask you, do you agree with what you said?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Let me ask you this then. Did it could or could not be the case? Did it change the dynamics with your family?
Of course.
How?
Yes. Well, I didn't have time to interact neither with my husband, with my parents, my brother. So basically, I like isolated myself only to study time. So that affected a lot of communication with my husband mainly. But he understood what I was going through, so we kind of like passed that part. But it was very like mentally, he was very consuming because I had to think about like family stuff, and also like school stuff. I was also working at the same time in my first semester, so my time management was like all over the place. So I did survive my first semester, but it was like very, very, very stressful.
Okay. And mate, you finished law school. You're studying for the bar now. Now that you've passed that first year and you've done your second, your third year, what advice do you have to give to them as a graduate of law school?
So first and foremost, I commend you for surviving your first L. It is not easy. I will tell you, network. It's all about who you know. I have been beyond grateful. I really immersed myself in the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Bar Association, the Immigration Law Society, the Women's Lawyer Association. You meet amazing people there who really guide you towards what is your next chapter after law school. So if you could participate, I know Barry has an immigration clinic, and I completed it. Highly recommended. So that's something I would highly advise you to do. Jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, even 30 years ago when I was in law school, it's pretty much the same thing. And May just hit on something like you pass your first year. It's understandable that you don't have time for that networking thing in your first year. But as you progress in your law career, these are your peers. These are the people who are going to be referring business to you. You have to maintain these types of networks because you're going to rely on them not only from a business perspective, but you're going to rely on them and you're going to depend on them also to give you support as far as legal knowledge, legal experience. So this is something that is a very, very important point that you just made. Yeah, your family relations will change. Nosotros aquí todos somos hispanos y todo el mundo, you know how Hispanic parents get. It's like, ay, ya se cree el abogado, ya se cree todo un experto así, right? Because we don't have time. And they try to give you that guilt, at least as far as the Hispanic culture. I don't know about other cultures, but Hispanic cultures, the parents are famous for doing that, giving you that guilt trip. I felt it. But I was like, I don't have time. I just literally don't have time. And yeah, so that is something that you touched upon it, and then you expanded on it, and that's something that I remember that it just couldn't it didn't coincide. And then when you're studying for the bar, it's even worse, right? Because I mean, if you're thinking about law school, the one thing that I remember, the most unexpected thing for me is it's not what I thought it was going to be. Okay, my most unexpected thing was out of law school, and it's also the most important thing is that they teach you how to think, and you will think differently before you enter law school and after you leave law school. Your thought process will be vastly different, and that's what they're actually teaching you in law school is how to think like a lawyer, how to analyze a problem, find out what the law is, apply it, and come to a conclusion. Just move on, topic after topic after topic. So when we're presented with case scenarios, when we have clients come in, what we find is that they give us this narration over their problems, and throughout that narration, your job as an attorney is just like in law school, and this is why those law school exams are as such. When we have a client here and they tell us, the A, B, and C happen, so now we have to analyze. Well, that's three things that you told me, but that generates nine legal issues that we have to analyze on the spot. Okay. You may or may not know the answer to every single one of those issues. And if you don't, my advice to young attorneys is don't be afraid to say, I need to look into this. I need to look into this. Don't put off a bravado. Don't put off a false confidence if you don't know, because the worst thing you can do is put your client in a worse position than they are than when they came in. Just like a doctor. I mean, we're all Juris Doctors, and we're not supposed to put our clients in a worse position. So that's what in our field in immigration, that's what notaries do. That's what paralegals do. They don't take the time to do what you guys are doing, to be able to analyze law, to be able to understand process, to be able to understand what it takes to represent someone. So what usually happens in asylum cases is they come in to see a notary or paralegal. The client prepares their statement, gives it to this preparer. The preparer translates it and says, well, now I know how to prepare asylums. And they think that that's an asylum preparation, and it's not. And it's not. And if they start telling the client, well, you should say this or you should say that, well, now that's legal advice, which they're not allowed to do. So in any event, that's the worst thing. And I'm going to bring up a scenario here, okay? We had a client once, and he came in under the advice of a notary. They're business owners from Venezuela. They filed an asylum, and what I mean by filing is they just translated what the client said. Okay, uh, in that in that application, the client admitted to paying la vacuna, the blackmail that you see in countries like Colombia and Venezuela, where they blackmail business owners. So immigration now says that they participated in terrorist activities. They were referred to immigration court. They applied for TPS. They were denied TPS, and then they also, under the advice of the same notary, obtained Colombian citizenship. Okay, so those are all the things that happen. Let's start weeding out some of the legal issues. Let's start fleshing this out. That's your job. When you see a client come in and they tell you all of these things, your job as an attorney is to start fleshing each one of these issues out. So, what issues pop up to the top of your head?
First thing, well, the citizenship with Colombia, the first thing they're gonna ask you is why didn't you go to Colombia?
Yeah.
You had a safe country to go to.
Okay, well, they didn't have Colombian citizenship. They applied for it afterwards and obtained it while their asylum was pending. So, what legal question does that trigger to you?
Legal question, would that affect like the asylum application?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And why?
Because you will have like, normally when you apply to asylum, you're saying that you don't have any other place to go to. So if you do have another option, in this case Colombia, then
Right. That is the direct answer. That is the answer that if we this was it this happened to be a law school exam, that answer would be correct. Okay. An even more advanced answer would be the following. If this client had access to Colombian citizenship in the first place, then why not obtain that Colombian citizenship, avoid asylum? They're business owners from Venezuela is the first thing I mentioned. They're business owners, so they're entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. The first thing that I would have said was, well, if you have access to Colombian citizenship, get it and we'll get you an E2 investor visa. So we avoid this whole issue about participating with terrorist activities, with asylum that you don't know what's going to happen, that we know. We have cases from 2013 still pending. Do you really want to have your case pending for that long? Right. Mm-hmm. So this client, because they went to a notary who prepared their asylum, they just shot themselves in the foot as far as any other legal options that they could have had. And there are some that are just blatantly obvious in the preparation of that application. We need to word that carefully because it may or may not be activity with a terrorist organization. Depends on how you label it, right? There's different ways to say the exact same thing. And I'm not advocating lying. I'm not advocating being untruthful in anything. But our jobs as attorneys, and the reason why I carry a nice pen is because pens are our weapons. Okay, that's our weapon. Our job is to be able to advocate for our clients, and what that requires is a mastery of the English language. And we master it in a sense where we advocate for our clients while doing so ethically, right? So what I have here, the example I give a lot is, I have this object, okay? And I ask clients, is this object a square or a rectangle, okay? And clients answer one way or the other. Let's say you say square, okay? Well, I can also argue it's a rectangle. If the law requires this to be a rectangle for my client to win the case, I'm going to say this has 4 90-degree angles, 2 parallel sides, which is the definition of a rectangle. Okay. If the law requires me to prove that this is a square, I will say, yes, it has the elements of a rectangle, but the 4 sides are equal, therefore it's a square. So that's our job as attorneys, is to figure out how to advocate for our clients because either one could be argued legitimately. And this is why there's such a gray zone in the law. And this is why our significant others hate us because we are trained to do this type of thing. And I mean, talk about that. I mean, have you noticed a shift in your mentality and how you think since law school, since you started law school?
Yes, with my friends, with my family members, yes, definitely. Every time that I have a conversation, I feel like they don't understand things the way I do now. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, why are you thinking like this? But I noticed that they always thought like that, and it was me the one that changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. What about you?
I think for me, my first thought as a response is always, it depends. It really is. It really is. I swear, anybody will ask me something, and I'll be like, it depends. And then, what do you mean it depends? And then I'm like, no. And then I start. So definitely, like, especially with my friends. And I feel like, okay, me being Gen Z here, my friends that are not in law school, I feel sometimes it's a little bit harder to have a conversation with them because they don't really think like how when I talk to my friends in law school, how we would have a conversation. So it depends is always a big one.
What about you?
Same, but I have encountered my communication to be different with my family. So I've had cousins and family members come up from the woodwork. They hear that, oh, you're doing immigration.
I
What are
know
you
por
doing? Yes,
favor.
that's happened. I'm like, oh, I can't give you legal advice. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh. So I've been having to push away a little bit, but in the most respectful way possible. I don't want to pass that barrier.
That's a question I actually have for you.
Uh-huh.
So me and Henry actually had this conversation a while ago that it's now that people know we're in law school and we're going to be attorneys one day. I know we can't give legal advice now, and that's a good excuse now. But when we do, and when we are able to, like let's say if we do immigration, how do you respectfully say no to family
Yes, that's a good
or
question.
close friends? Because out of nowhere, I have so much family I've never heard of. That wow, you're in law school. Please help me with this. Right now, I really can't help you. But when we are practicing attorneys, how do you respectfully say no, but also
Without hurting their feelings.
hurting their feelings or that they think that oh wow, like ahora es la abogada, se creen. But it's not like that. I just we are gonna have jobs one day, a business to run. So how do you?
Well, you have to learn how to say no. You have, and sometimes it might take some practice, but you have to learn how to say no, especially if it's not your field. And what you end up doing is that's where your network comes in. And you say, listen, I specialize or I practice mostly in immigration, or I practice mostly in PI or criminal law or whatever it is you practice, right? And when someone comes into you and they want to know, they think that you know everything within the law because you're an attorney now. I mean, I get this specifically with family members when it comes to divorce, right? Everyone thinks that because I'm an attorney, I know how to do a divorce, right? And could I? Yes. Okay. But is it my specialty? No. And do I know everything within family matter? No. Family law? No, I don't. So what we end up doing in those is what I end up doing in those is I say, look, I have this person I can refer you to. I have this trusted person I can refer you to, and you shoo them away that way.
So what if it's immigration? What if they're asking you about immigration?
Then you can have a conversation about it, but then you tell them, well, why don't you go ahead and let's set up an appointment, and because it's like asking the comedian to tell you a joke because you ran into him in the street. You have your personal life as well,
Yeah.
and just because you're an attorney doesn't mean that they have access to you 24/7. And it's like I tell them, let's set up a consultation. I have el primo de tu amigo,
Del perro, del
yeah,
gato.
conozco el veterinario que te cuida tu perro, and I'm like, so what? It is still a business. I still have a business to run. I still have bills to pay, and this is my livelihood. This is what my livelihood depends on. So you have to put that in perspective, and put up that professional wall that you have to as an attorney. We get a bad rap because eso, ya se cree. Eso. It's not about that. It's my profession, and that doesn't give you, you know, a right to have access to everything that I know or that I do, or I busted my butt for 3 years and then a bar exam to be able to do as a living. This is what I do as a living in a dedicated time. And one of the things is like, I have a lot of people who tell me, oh, but you can do it. You're in a position to do it. Yes, but what did it take? What did it take for me to be in a position to do it? Okay, it took 3 years while you were partying, while you were having a good time, hanging out with your friends, and not reading 1,000 pages a night. Okay, I was,
Yeah.
okay, and this is why I get frustrated with the notarios and paralegals who think that they know immigration law, because first of all, you don't. You don't know. You think that because it applied one way here, that that's how it applies to the next case, and it doesn't. And the reason you don't know that is because you didn't bother to study. You didn't bother to study, and you think that now because you know how to fill out a form, that all of a sudden empowers you to put people's lives in your hands. because I take that very seriously. That these are people's lives we have in our hands. It's their money that they worked all their lives. It's really everything that they work for, and their dreams and aspirations. This is why I chose immigration law. Coming out of law school, I had options to go into different fields, bankruptcy, what have you. Um, but I chose immigration law because I didn't want to fight for people's money. I wanted to fight for people's dreams. And that allows me to be able to sleep at night because I know that I give my all every day to help people achieve their dreams. So, do you guys have any ideas as to what kind of law you guys want to practice?
I don't want to do immigration. Sorry. I like immigration. I've worked here for like 5 years already, but it's just not for me, I feel. I am really interested in real estate,
Okay.
property. I'm taking a class next semester, real estate transactions, so I'm going to see if I like it. Or maybe wills, estates, trusts.
Well, that's important because even though I understand that you don't want to do immigration, the fact that you dipped your toe in immigration is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so important to be out there on all these different organizations. See if you like the subject matter. See if you like real estate. See if you like bankruptcy. See if you like criminal defense. Go to court. Do you even like litigation? Do you even have the temperament and the desire to litigate? I know not everyone does. Not everyone does, and that's okay, and that's absolutely okay. You just have to be true to yourself as far as what actually is in your core to be able to have first of all have a successful career, uh, but also have a successful life because you enjoy what you do.
Mm-hmm.
See, I love what I do every day. I'm grateful that I get to do what I do, and I just hope and wish that for everyone. Unfortunately, I see a lot of my colleagues who are not happy and who resort to alcohol. Attorneys and alcohol. It's something that's very common, and it's something that you need to be mindful of. So, in order to avoid that, attempt to be happy at what you do. So and that takes exposure because you may or may the immigration may or may not be for you. Criminal law may or may not be for you. You think it is because perhaps you saw a TV show in Law and Order one day and you thought, hey, that's what I want to do.
It's
But
not the same.
but it's not the same. And that was one of the things that hit me when I went to law school. It's like, this is not what I saw on TV. You see the glamorizing where everyone gets a confession at the end and wins the case. That doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. And it takes a lot of groundwork to be able to get to the presentation stage in a courtroom setting. So it's really how the sausage is made. And a lot of people don't understand how the sausage is made in law. So that's something that I think that is a very important thing. So what about you? What kind of law are you thinking about?
What do you think?
You make an excellent immigration attorney, I think. But again, it goes back to that. It doesn't make you happy. Fundamentally, is this what you want, or do you feel that you should or have to explore other things before you dedicate yourself?
Yes, that's what is actually happening to me right now. I do like immigration law a lot, but I do want to try to do maybe some criminal law because I'm kind of like having some like proximity to it. But yeah, I want to try that like
They
next year
intertwine.
maybe.
They intertwine a lot.
So you're studying for the bar. So right now, when you're studying for the bar, you have access to all of these things that we don't learn in law school, right? Where you actually learn the law while studying for the bar. And as such, you're exposed to many different types of law. What has anything made you say, I mean, I wonder about that?
On the contrary,
Yeah.
I know for a fact that all I want to do is immigration law. We have a little bit of property, we have civil procedure, we have crim law, we have criminal, all these wonderful subjects. They're beautiful, they're great. I just know it's not for
I would
me.
not describe it like that.
I know it's not for me, and that is okay. I went into law school knowing I wanted to do immigration law. I dabbled in the immigration clinic. I work at immigration law firms, and I came out wanting to do immigration law. But at least I had the opportunity to be exposed to other topics. But nope, I want to do immigration.
What kind of advice do you guys give to people who tell you, I'm thinking about law school?
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. It's so funny because I actually had a girl reach out to me on Instagram. I post a lot on Instagram. I'm the social media manager here, by the way. I post a lot on Instagram, especially about my law school journey. So I had a girl reach out to me saying that what was my advice because she never had anybody close to her that was going to law school. And I still have to talk to her, but I told her that you have to get ready, like I said in the beginning, to change your entire life. Like change your entire perspective on everything, change you you will lose friends. Your family is gonna be mad at you, especially if you're Hispanic. So I just feel like if this is really what you and don't go to school. I mean, don't go to law school if somebody's told you that you're good at arguing because that doesn't matter. I hear that so much, like, oh, I'm gonna go to law school because I'm so good at arguing. Okay, that's not gonna do anything for you. You have to read so much. I think go to law school if this is your passion. For me personally, I didn't want to do anything else since high school. I wanted to be an immigration attorney. That's how I actually started at Limla because I had told him that I wanted to do immigration.
Liar.
It was so funny. We were sitting at my green card interview, and I was like, I want to be. I was like, how old was I? Like 17.
What do you mean you
Like
green card
12?
interview?
Well, I've known you since you were 12.
Yeah, she was a client.
Yeah, I was a client.
You didn't know that?
No, I well, like, how did you end up coming here? If you don't mind me
My
asking.
dad was Henry's client, and then my dad petitioned for me. And then we were sitting at my green card interview with my dad, and my dad was just like, just talk to him. And I was like, so little. I was like 17. I was so shy. And I was just like, I want to be an immigration attorney too. And then he was like, oh, you do? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, come shadow at my firm. And I was like, so then I got ready and I went. I think it was like a Monday, and like it was like September. It was September 2018. So I was 18 years old, and then I went in and I spent like the day there, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And it was like my first like big girl job, right? And then I worked my way up, and now I'm back here after starting law school. But back to the question, my advice for anyone wanting to go to law school is make sure that this is really what you want to do. Because once you start this, well, me personally, if I start something, I have to finish it. So once you start this, there's no giving up, especially for me. So make sure this is what you want to do. Get ready to read a lot and just be okay with, like you said earlier, just say no. That's what I got.
All right. I'm going to change the question a little bit for you guys. Um, what advice do you guys have for people coming into law school from a health and fitness perspective? Because it's crucial. We mentioned the time demands of law school. Let's talk about health and fitness during law school.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about health because I'm not fit at all. So just take time for yourself. Don't always like focus on school stuff because it's gonna drain your brain. So you have to, if you need to like take 1 hour break, take it. If you have to like watch a soccer game, watch it. You have to like, I don't know, take the Friday night off, take it because yeah, it's gonna be like very, very, very hard. You have to take time.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah.
What about you?
Same. So I started January 2020, and then we had COVID. COVID hit us, so I was a COVID group, and unfortunately, I was going to the gym. I do like CrossFit. I do like working out, and that all had to stop. And it did kind of throw me off with regards to that balance because that was my way to just relax and really hone in on myself before going back to my studies, and I didn't have that outlet anymore. Now that that has passed, and I'm studying for the bar, I'm trying to manage my time better. So I got a Peloton where I could still work out, still give myself that time to work out, but still focus. So I've been having to incorporate it in different ways.
That's excellent. Excellent advice. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for now, and we're gonna keep this up. So send us your questions. What questions would you like us to answer from prospective law students and or immigration topics as well? That's the focus of this little interviews that we're going to be doing. So hopefully you guys will tune in, like us, and we can keep making these. Thank you guys.
Bye.